Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Lord Foulkes, or George if you know him in any way well, is going to be launching a dad's army, as he calls it. What this is senior lords and senior politicians who are going to form a little group to try and stop Yousaf and other senior members of the SNP from spending public money on things like Skexit or international aid. They should not be spending it on either, simply because they don't have the authority to do anything about breaking up the UK, and so public money shouldn't be used for that, and certainly not spending money abroad. The money that's given to Scotland via the Barnett consequentials is for Scots, not for Gazans. The UK does the aid, thank you very much, and so he's going to try and change the rules so that this cannot happen in future, because obviously Yousaf at the moment is only giving money away to certain groups, let's just say, and we all know what groups they are. And so Foulkes is saying enough's enough, time this changed, and they're spending and wasting millions upon millions on things outside of their authority, and he wants to bring it to a halt, and I think most people agree with him. Let's take a look. So, Lord Foulkes launches a new Dad's Army bid to stop Yousaf spending public cash on Skexit and international aid. Of course, none of them should be spending on either of those things. There's a lot of other things they shouldn't be spending on, but these two are big and are quite obviously out with any kind of authority that the SNP have. Anyway, a group of cross-party House of Lords peers, including former Deputy First Minister Lord Jim Wallace, are combining to fight back against the SNP government spending public cash on reserved matters like independence and overseas embassies and of course foreign aid. None of this should happen. The money that's going into Scotland should be spent on Scots. That's the whole point of it. And if they have the money to spend the money elsewhere, then obviously the Barnett consequentials is too high, and that Westminster should then perhaps look to cut it and say, well, no, you don't need this much. We've given you this much, but you spent all that on foreign aid. So you don't need it. If you've got enough that you can spend on foreign aid, then we're obviously giving you too much money. What's the answer to that? Well, of course, they're going to say, well, and they'll complain. Well, they're the ones wanking the money away. Anyway, Labour peer and fierce unionist Lord George Foulkes has launched a new Dad's Army in a bid to force Yousaf to stop spending taxpayer cash on reserved areas such as Skexit, foreign embassies and international aid. SNP ministers have been slated for handing out money to the likes of Gaza when international development is the job of Westminster. For example, when Yousaf goes for a holiday in Qatar and meets probably the leaders of Hamas, and he's already given £750,000 to Gaza, which is his way of saying giving it to Hamas. Allegedly. Gotta cover myself. The First Minister is already continuing, like his predecessor Nicola Sturgeon, of publication of independence prospectuses, money down the pan, with 10 now published at a cost of more than £100,000, money that could have bought a couple of nurses. The latest one was on culture and claimed a benefit of the breakup was that Scotland would have a place in Eurovision. Oh, that's worth it then. As your economy plummets, as the work dries up, as nobody is allowed to do anything because they're closing all the boozers. And don't worry, you've got to welcome all the new Scots coming in, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of them, which the last 5 workers in Scotland will have to fund. But hey, you can make up for it, because that second week in May every year, you get to watch Scotland in the Eurovision Song Contest. They won't win it. And it's bad news, even Lulu's retiring now. Anyway, Lord Foulkes has repeatedly called on the UK government's chief civil servant, Sir Simon Case, to clamp down on this spending, as it is reserved matters. A new guidance for bureaucrats is currently being written up, but the Labour peer believes this can be done quicker. He previously formed a Dad's Army at the House of Lords in 2022 to demand that Miss Sturgeon acts a ring-fenced £20 million publicly funded IndyRef2 fund, and declared victory when she was forced to do so after the humiliating Supreme Court defeat. And that's another issue. They haven't won a court case in so long. When's the last time? Is it 9, 8? Certainly 8, maybe 9 consecutive defeats at court. Because, they're morons. And the worst thing, and I'm just going to do a tangent at this point. The thing is, they keep saying, we're going to go to court. What was the legal advice? Well, we're only going to go to court if legal advice says we'll win. Okay, then you go to court. Let's see the legal advice. No, you don't need to see the legal advice. But you said that you're only going to court if it said you'd win. So let's see the legal advice. You've gone to court. Let's see the legal advice. No, you don't need to see that. We all know why, don't you? Because the legal advice will say you haven't got a chance of winning. And if they are taking legal advice says you can't win, and they still do it, I believe the decision on who makes that, Hamza Yousaf or Nicola Sturgeon, whoever it was, needs to be billed the entire game. Not the public purse, not the Scottish people. Them, individually, personally, have to pay it. They made the decision. Anyway, the Labour peer will be joined in the new cross-party group by former Liberal Democrat leader, First Minister Lord Jim Wallace, and ex-Scottish Tory leader Baroness Annabel Goldie, as they seek to prevent the Scottish Government from working in areas that are reserved to Westminster, such as the Constitution. And quite right too, they waste money left, right and centre. And people, particularly the vulnerable people of Scotland, are the ones that are ultimately paying for it. When people are dying of cancer before they even see the oncologist, because the waiting time to get to the oncologist is so long, never mind the waiting time to get treated, just before you see the consultant. Or they're waiting 19 hours in an ambulance, in a car park, at a hospital, waiting to get in to the A&E department. Meanwhile, these people are spending millions upon millions of pounds on a pipe dream that the majority of Scots don't even want. And it's just, they need to be sued for every penny of it. Anyway, they will meet for the first time on Tuesday, according to the Scottish Daily Mail, and will seek to press UK ministers and shadow ministers to act on the issue and scrutinise the use of public money. That's a story I think we'll keep. We'll keep an eye on that. This is going to percolate, I think, over a few days and weeks. So I think it's something we can bust along with and keep an eye on. All three have been outspoken in the past about wasted millions by the Scottish Government. And there you are. There's the head of the Secret Service. Civil Service. Secret Service. Doesn't look like Bond, does he? But that's Sir Humphrey Appleby. The new one, Simon Case. Anyway, Mr. Case is understood to be working on a review which could see this spending clamped down on. Clamped down on? Oh, God. Ending a sentence with a preposition. Who was it? Winston Churchill. Up with this, I will not put. Anyway, although the SNP have insisted that it's perfectly legal, Lord Foulkes said, over the last year, I have been running a one-person campaign to highlight ultra-vires spending by the Scottish Government on a range of reserved areas, such as Independence Minister, supported by civil servants, pretending embassies in countries where no separate provision is needed, and overseas aid above and beyond what was agreed. So basically, just awfulness, just general, terrible awfulness. I mean, you're paying Jamie Hebburn $100,000 a year plus expenses, plus he's got this team around him. It's probably $1 million a year. You're getting on for £1 million a year to run his department. For what? It's not a department. He cannot be successful in his role because he cannot bring independence. He does not have that power. £1 million a year being wasted on it. That's a lot of doctors and nurses. Anyway, Baroness Goldie was scathing towards the Scottish Government when she discussed this topic at the House of Lords earlier this month. She pointed out that in Scotland, educational standards have declined. Well, declined to the point that in the PISA tables, some third world countries are now above Scotland. Scotland used to have a fantastic education system, the envy of the world. And it's now, there's third world countries better than Scotland. 17 years of SNP rule. That's why she pulled out of all the league tables and things, Sturgeon, because it was so embarrassing. She didn't want people to know how far down she destroyed the Scottish education system. And make no bones about it, it wasn't accidental, it was deliberate. She wants a whole population of very stupid, uneducated people so that nobody can question what they're doing. Anyway, she added, the response of the Scottish Government to not only spend money on completely illegitimate and incompetent objectives, to make Scotland the highest tax part of the United Kingdom, and in the fact of these challenges is as incomprehensible as it is regrettable. And she's right. And there's nothing that he's a hero here, because he's going to try and stop Humza Yousaf and the SNP from utterly screwing Scotland any further. Why are they spending this money? What are they doing? Why are they not spending it where it's needed? It's deliberate policy. Coming up. Now, I wish Foulkes, Goldie and Wallace all power to their elbow. Let them do this. Let them push this. Let them get this through as quickly as possible. Make it a massive, massive slap in the face for Humza Yousaf. Force him to fire Jamie Hebburn. And then make him look humiliated in the eyes of the people because he's spending money that they don't have on things they don't want it spent on. Wasting it. And make everyone see that he's wasting it. That should bring a few more. We've already had one jump ship today. I think there might be a few more after that. Who knows? Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.